Hello and welcome to this vodcast from EF Brisbane. I'm AJ and I'm going to be talking to you about a topic that is very close to my interest: deforestation. Deforestation is an issue that we all should be concerned about, and I hope that this vodcast will teach you some of the reasons why deforestation happens, some of the effects of deforestation, and also how we can overcome the negative consequences of deforestation. So first of all, we will look at some of the terms concerned with this topic. Deforestation is when you take or go to an area that is forested, has trees, and you chop down the trees, you remove the trees. Reforestation is when you plant the trees back. So there was an area where trees used to be, they were removed for whatever reason, but somebody decides to plant the trees again. There's also afforestation. Afforestation is when you plant trees in an area where they had not been before, such as a desert, or they haven't been for a very long time, such as a city environment. You can see on the left picture a street scene. On the right, trees have been planted. There would not have been trees there for a very long time. This is afforestation.
So we have a reliance on trees. Reliance means that we need trees. And here you can see a beautiful part of one of the German forests with their beautiful trees. We need trees. We cannot live or survive without them. They obviously make areas beautiful. Just walking through a forest or walking through trees is relaxing, healthy, and we feel a connection with nature. So many people love bushwalking. It can be beautiful, like these beautiful flowers, or just being out in the bush. Trees are important because they give us wood. We use trees for building, but also we use trees to make paper. So it's the forest and paper industry that is very important. Trees grow many types of fruit. We have all of our orchards, fruit, even the olives. They give us cover or protection to the earth, and they keep the rivers healthy. The trees, below the trees, we have roots which keep the tree in the earth, but these stop the rivers from getting full of too much dirt. They don't become dirty and unhealthy. And of course, the trees give us oxygen and they take carbon dioxide out of the air. Without trees, we would die, we would suffocate, we would have no oxygen. Why does deforestation occur? Why are people cutting down the forests? Well, one reason is if we cut down the trees, the land can be used for something else, for other development. Maybe a new farm, maybe a highway that is passing through, or maybe a different crop is going to be planted. The deforestation is worst or most severe in the poorer countries. And this is because if a company from a rich country comes in and offers a lot of money for the land or the forest, then people have to sell. The government does not protect or help. And so that's why the deforestation occurs quite often in poorer countries. Deforestation can be little by little or gradual, or it can be very quick, where hundreds of hectares of forest can disappear in a few weeks. So sometimes the damage happens very quickly. As I said, they might be building a factory or a house, a road, a highway, or planting new crops. So one of the new crops that is often planted is one that we can see here, a palm oil plant. So it's still a tropical forest tree, but companies cut down the palm oil fruit and it is used for the oil. So this is why deforestation occurs in most countries. We're now going to step away from the vodcast for a few minutes and have a look at a short YouTube news clip. This one comes from England, and again it's explaining why deforestation happens. The accent is different, so use this to really practice your listening skills. And remember to come back to this vodcast once you've finished listening. The rate of deforestation. This is looking at how quickly forests disappear. I think because there has been so much focus around the earth on trying to save our forests, sometimes we think that forests are getting better, are getting healthier. But if we look at this graph here, that is not the case. This is not true. This graph is about global tree cover loss. And if you look at 2016, this was higher than it has been in the last 5 years. So our forests are still disappearing. They are still in danger. It's very clear that although we have a focus in the media, on the news, with governments about protecting our forests, this is still not happening as much as it should. The consequences of deforestation. This is what happens when our forests disappear. Deforested land, land without a forest, is not stable. It's not safe because there are not as many roots that hold the land together. And you can see here how these trees are not stable and they will eventually fall. When the trees have gone, the land becomes arid. It becomes very dry, and it can even become desert. And this is called desertification. When the trees disappear and the land is dry, then animals become threatened. Some animals now only live in zoos or they die out completely. So the forests die, the land is dry, animals also die. Trees can also die out completely. And there are 10,000 types of trees which are under threat. Burning trees is also another problem because burning trees means more carbon dioxide goes into the air, and less trees, more carbon dioxide again, and this is what is a problem for Earth. So many results or things that happen because of the disappearing forests. We are now going to step away from the lecture for a few minutes, and I want you to listen to a news item about forests. This one is about forests in Brazil and what is happening with the forests there. Very good listening practice for you and good information. Remember, come back to the lecture after you watch this YouTube clip. So deforestation was cutting down the trees and destroying the forest. And now we're looking at the opposite, reforestation, building this forest up again from empty land. So reforestation is planting a tree where they used to be before man cut them down. Many countries are now seeing a large success in reforestation. It takes a long time. Trees don't grow quickly. but the government has a long-term project for planting trees again. It is more common in developed or the rich nations. So the very, very poor countries aren't replanting trees, but the rich countries are. And reforestation, planting more trees, can also mean that there's wood there if man needs to use wood again. Again, we're going to step away from the lecture and we're going to look at a short YouTube clip that is about the world's largest artificial forest, a forest that has been planted by the government. And yes, it's in China. So enjoy this short YouTube clip, listen carefully, and remember to come back to the lecture once you have finished watching. And of course, there are artificial trees, trees that are not real, that are man-made. My favourite ones are these ones in Singapore. They are just beautiful at night time. So these are made of steel, concrete, lights, and are just absolutely amazing. There are other artificial trees, and again, we're going to step away from the lecture just for a few minutes and listen this time to some information from England, from the United Kingdom, talking about other artificial trees and how important they are for the earth. Remember to come back to the lecture after watching this short YouTube clip.
The orangutan. In this picture you'll see two orangutan, a mother and baby, with their semi-smiling faces and their orange hair. They're rather cute and they look quite peaceful, but sadly these animals are under threat. Orangutan, I think is how you pronounce it in Indonesian, and it means, I believe, forest man. Now the orangutan is an ape. Humans, we are apes as well. They live only on the islands of Borneo and Sumatra. Sumatra is a part of Indonesia, and Borneo is an island that has 3 countries, or parts of 3 countries on it, Malaysia and Indonesia, and also the entire country of Brunei. There are only about 50,000 orangutans left in the world. That number is falling every day. So every day you find more and more dead orangutans, and that's very, very worrying. They live only in the forests of Indonesia. Maybe they cross over into Malaysia, but essentially they're just in the forests of Indonesia. Sadly, the mothers, or many mothers, are killed for their babies. There are parts of the world where, or there are people in the world where, there are people in the world who like to have exotic pets or very interesting pets, and many of these people want to have a baby orangutan. So they pay lots of money so that someone will go and kill a mother to take their baby, and that's very sad. This is a big problem. It's called animal trafficking. Orangutans can also be killed when they approach humans. Because their forest home is being removed, being reduced in size, they're forced out of the forests and they go looking for food. They might enter a village in Indonesia where the local people will attack them and kill them. This happens far too often. Because of this, the population of orangutans might actually end up disappearing, and it will be another creature that we humans have removed from the planet.
The orangutan is one endangered species on the planet Earth, but there are 4 others. Another one is the Javan rhinoceros, and there is a rhinoceros in South Africa, and also the Asian rhinoceros. The one that is endangered, almost dying out, is the one on Java. This rhino used to be found from northern India all through Southeast Asia, including Indonesia. It's now only on one island in Indonesia, the island of Java, and not on the whole island, just in one tiny forest that is a government protected forest. The government has to look after these creatures. There are only 60 left, and they are disappearing still at a very, very terrible rate. They are hunted for the horn. The horn is this part of the rhinoceros here, and people hunt the rhinoceros because they sell this horn and it is used to make medicine. The habitat is disappearing, the habitat where they live, and this is the forest. As the forest disappears, there are farms that come closer and closer. There are cattle on the farms, and some of these cattle or cow diseases also kill the rhinoceros. So it's the most endangered animal on all of Earth. Another endangered species is the mountain gorilla, and this one we all know about. There have been groups of activists who have been trying to save the gorillas and work with keeping them safe in their jungles, in their forests. The mountain gorilla is found in the highlands of the Congo, Rwanda, and Uganda. The good news is, with the mountain gorilla, the number of gorillas has increased. And this is because man or conservation groups have been working hard to protect them. In 1989, there were only 620, and now they've grown to be more than 900. So this is wonderful. The reason why they were dying out, they were in danger or endangered by the destruction of the habitat, destroying the forests. War, sometimes two different parts of these countries were at war with each other, and the gorillas just got in the way. They were killed. There was hunting. In the past, it was horrible, but some people used to like to buy a gorilla hand, and so people would go into the forest, kill the gorilla, and cut the hand off. Absolutely terrible. And of course, disease. If the forest gets cut down and village people build more villages or land for farming, they bring cattle, they bring dogs, they bring pigs, and these animals have diseases that can kill the gorilla. So many reasons why it became in danger. The most important one, destroying the forests, the destruction of the habitat. Another animal that is in danger or endangered is the giant panda. And like the gorilla, we're all very familiar with the beautiful giant panda. It's the logo of some of the conservation groups in the world. And to be honest, it's just so adorable, so beautiful. Who could not want to save this incredible creature? We know that it lives in eastern China. It lives in bamboo forests in the highlands of China. It's a very important part of the forest, and the forest to keep living, because it eats 26 to 80 pounds of bamboo every day. It spends hours rummaging through the forest looking for the bamboo, and when it does this, it spreads seeds through the forest, and this helps the forest to keep growing. So it's important to the ecosystem of the forest, but now also important to the geographic and economic heart of China. People come to this part of China to try and see the giant panda, and of course that brings money. The big risk to the pandas was, again, sadly, like so many beautiful creatures, they were hunted. And of course, again, it's that destruction of the forest. Cutting down bamboo forests just eventually kills the giant panda. And number 5 in the endangered species animals in danger is the golden lion tamarin. What a beautiful, beautiful animal it is. It lives in Brazil in the forests again. Only about 1,000 of these remain or are still alive. They live in beautiful family groups, like a lot of monkeys and apes. And as you can see from the beautiful picture here, they usually give birth to twins. Absolutely gorgeous. Why are they disappearing? Once again, it is cutting down the trees, destroying the forests. And so now the government is in Brazil, trying to look after and keep these forests free for them, protect them, so that the numbers do not get any lower. And now we need to look at the animals in Australia that are in danger. One is this lovely animal here, the rock wallaby. A wallaby looks a little bit like a kangaroo, but it's much, much smaller. A long time ago, these lovely wallabies were found all across Australia. They lived mainly in rocky and cave areas, but now they can only be found in very small, isolated populations. Isolated places that are far away from humans. So they have been pushed further and further away from areas that is easy for them to get food. They live in rocky areas, caves, cliffs. They're not very fast, so they are very agile. They can jump up on these rocks very quickly, but they can't move quickly across grass or desert or plains. And so all of their food has to be close to where they live. So they will eat grass and any shrubs, bushes near their shelter, near the rocks where they live. They're disappearing because of land clearing. And as the forests of the land gets cleared, there are farms, there are animals that are also have been introduced or brought to Australia, like the fox and wildcat. And these wildcat and foxes are also good at jumping up onto rocks, and they can catch and eat these beautiful little rock wallabies. So now the government is trying to put in some plans to protect. One of the birds in Australia that is in danger is the curlew. It's the world's largest shorebird. It lives by digging up crabs and mollusks from the sand, and that's why it has a beautiful long beak. It is critically endangered. There has been a drop of 80% of these birds in the last 50 years. They will soon disappear if we cannot help them and protect their environment. So again, it's the destruction of where they live that is causing them to die out. Their wetlands are being damaged. These are the trees that grow in wet areas. These are being destroyed so that people can come in and farm, and with the farming comes pollution into the ocean, and this is all causing them to disappear. The beautiful golden finch, and it's the most magical combination of colours. Many people say it's one of the most beautiful small birds in the world. You can see that it only has a very small beak, so it can't pick seeds from trees. It can only eat seeds that fall to the ground. So in the past, for thousands of years, these seeds would fall because there was controlled burning of the forest. This was our Aboriginal people, our Indigenous people. They would do a burning of areas of forest so there was new growth, new trees, new bushes. And this was very important to the golden finch. Without many of these Aboriginal groups now, this burning does not occur. Another reason they are disappearing is the bird trade. people catch these beautiful birds and they know they can get a lot of money if they can smuggle it in luggage or bags to their own country, and they can sell it for a huge price. And this is a big problem with the golden finch, the cutting down of their trees. And also, if the forest disappears and there are farms, there are new diseases that can kill this bird. Absolutely. And one of the cute endangered species is the quoll. In the news quite recently, because Roger Federer had a photo with one in Western Australia, and now lots of tourists want to have a picture with a quoll. They are a carnivorous marsupial. They eat meat. One of the things they started eating in the last 60 or 70 years has been a cane toad. And this toad was brought into Australia from some Polynesian islands, but it's incredibly poisonous. The quolls started eating the toads and were dying. So now, to save them, they have to live on a toad-free island, like the one across in Perth. So they are dying out or in danger because of the loss of forests. There are some feral or wild cats and foxes, and of course the terrible cane toad, which we'll be learning about a little bit later. We also have an endangered species, not quite as cute, and this is the tree rat. And the tree rat has an Aboriginal name, and that is Munbul. So it is very important for the Aboriginal peoples. Its population has gone down, declined 50% in the last 10 years. So it's now very endangered. It can only eat fleshy fruit and shrubs, and so if we clear the forest, its food disappears and it cannot survive. It also has to live in a hollow tree. So if these get cut down and the new forest doesn't have hollow trees, it has nowhere to live. And then other animals can easily kill and eat. So the main threat, again, is clearing the forest for agriculture. The feral cats and also huge forest fires are a threat to this tree rat. So what are the two most important forests in Australia? One is called the Daintree, and this is one of our Queensland forests. It's up very north in Queensland, a beautiful tropical forest area. It's on the World Heritage List, which means our government has to protect it. It's the oldest continuous rainforest in the world, 180 million years. So we do need to look after it. It also has 30% of all the frogs, reptiles and marsupials in all of Australia. They live there. It has 65% of all of Australia's bat and butterfly species. It has 18% of all the bird species in Australia and 12,000 insect species. So very important for animals are this amazing forest. In the bottom photo, you can see the government have built a walkway made of wood, and you climb up this walkway and you can go through the forest at the level of the tops of the trees. So you can go through the forest without any damage to the trees and the shrubs and the land, and you can see all of these amazing species but not hurt the land. So a lovely way of still letting people see the Daintree, experience the beauty, but not harm the land. And the second place in Australia that has amazing forests is down in Tasmania. If you get a chance to visit, it is just beautiful. It has the tallest flowering trees on the planet. It also has spectacular rock art. These are paintings by the Aboriginal people, because for them this forest is also religious and important. And there are some species like the Tasmanian devil found in this area too. It is one of the largest intact temperate forest ecosystems on Earth, one of the largest warm forests on the Earth. Not tropical like the Daintree, but just a warm forest. And we definitely need to protect it. In Tasmania, there are huge timber companies who are cutting down the forests, and now people who want to protect these beautiful forests. So there are often quite very hot arguments between the timber companies and the people who want to look after and protect these beautiful forests. So planting new trees is one very positive step forward for Earth, for the planet. All countries have tree planting projects. The one in Australia is by the Greening Australia organisation, and you can see that here. Underneath this vodcast there is a link. You can click on Greening Australia and get information. If you want to be involved as a volunteer, go out for one day and plant trees, or out to one of the islands and plant trees. This Greening Australia will help organise, and you go with friends or with a group of Australians. So if you are interested, please click on the link, have a look, and then come and see us in the academic team if you need help. Thank you for listening this week. We hope you enjoyed understanding a little bit more about forestation, deforestation, and how important trees are to the planet. Remember, click on the link below the vodcast to complete your lecture homework. We look forward to being with you again next week.